Okay, in our last couple of lessons, we've worked on making a one-page web page. And what we want to do now is change this from one page into a multi-page site. And that's the whole reason for having this style.css format. It means that we don't have to recreate it for each page. We can create it once and apply it to multiple pages. But before we change the website by adding some new pages, we're going to change the structure first. So we're going to go into Index. I'm going to right click and I'm going to open it with Notepad. On mine it's called Block Notes. And under the body section here, we're going to create a new bit which is called, it's a new division class, and it's for the top navigation. So we're going to say top nav, like that. Then we're going to indent the next section because it goes with it, and we're going to create the bits that go within the top navigation. So we're going to have a class equals active. This is the active page, although that's not the equal symbol. And that's the page we're on at the moment. And the reference for that page is going to be the page that we're on. So that's very simple. That's just going to be index.html. And the way we want to show that is we want to call that the home page. Then we want to close that link, so go /A, enter, tab across. I'm going to put the second one in. So this one's going to be a href. I'm going to do equals speech marks page2.html. We haven't made this yet, but that's the page we're going to make. We close that. I'm going to call this page 2. We don't need to keep the same format because this is just how it appears on the page. I'm going to close that one as well. And then we're going to close this division by closing it by /div. Control S will save this. Now, I want to look at this while I'm editing it. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to press on the Windows button. I'm going to press on the left arrow. This will move it up to the left-hand side. And I want to see my web page open here. So I've actually already got it open, so I'm going to open it by clicking on it. If I press refresh, we should now see we've got these two links, one that says home, one that says page 2. And if I click on page 2, I should get an error because I haven't actually made that page yet. And that's actually all we need to do. That's the links complete, but they're not very interesting. So we're going to change this a little bit by adding into the style document. So we're going to go back onto here, go back to style, right click on style, go open with, and we're going to open this with the same notes program I was using before, and go back onto here so we can see it. Now you can see I've already set the background color and I've set the format for H1 here, but we're now going to create some new bits for the bits of the nav bar. So the first one on here that we're going to add is just for the whole of the nav bar, and this one is dot top nav. Use the curly brackets, and then we can press enter here if we want, or we can just write it straight into the space. I'm going to say background color, spelled the American way, colon hash 333. This will give one color, but you can try changing this afterwards. Semicolon. Then I'm going to go overflow is hidden, so if there's any overflow we don't see it. And then I'm going to close my curly brackets there. I'm going to press Control S to save this, and on my page on the right I'm going to press refresh. Okay, doesn't work because I made a spelling mistake there. So one of the reasons we do this is because we can spot the mistakes. Control S again to save it. I'm going to press refresh again here, and now you can see it's added a black background. And if I want to change the colors of that, I can try changing the numbers, or I can look them up. Control S, refresh that. It's not looking very different at the moment, but I could try changing those numbers around a bit further. Now, that's the first bit, but we want to change what the links inside look like. So we're going to do a second bit. This is going to be called top nav, A because it applies to the links, curly brackets again. I'm going to say float, so we want it to appear on the left of each box. Remember, we want a colon after the instruction and a semicolon after the attribution. The color is going to be, in this case, we're going to use F2, 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 semicolon. We're going to text align into the center. We're going to put a bit of padding on here. So it's going to be 14 pixels by 16 pixels. We're not going to enter any text decoration, so we're going to say that's going to be none. And we're going to set the font size to being 17 pixels. I'm going to close our curly brackets, Control S again, and refresh on the right. And you should see this is now showing. So we now got home and page 2. Again, page 2 takes us to nothing because there's nothing there. And if we're not happy about this, we can start playing around with these. Remember to save it, so Control S, refresh. You should see the grow. Preferred it before, so drop it down a little bit. Control S, refresh, and you can play around with that as much as you want. Now we want to add some colors that happen when you hover over the link. So we're going to say top nav again, spelled correctly. A, because it's on the links, but the attribution only applies when it hovers. We're going to put the curly brackets in again. This time we want background color to be DDD. We want the color to be black. Control S again to save it, and again we're going to refresh it. And what should happen now is we hover over them, you can see they light up. So that becomes a little bit more interesting. And again, if you want to try and change this, you can change them into different colors. So instead of it being black, we could try white. Control S, refresh. Okay, you can see what's happening there. The writing's white when it's hovered over, whereas if I change it to this one, back to black, Control S, refresh it so we can see the change. You see, because it's got a light background, the color changes. So you can try different ones as well. We can make it red, whichever works best. I quite like white, so I'm going to put it back to white. Okay, and the last attribution we're going to add here is to show which is the active page, the page we're on. So we're going to say top nav again, because it's still applying to the same section, a.active. Okay, I'm going to set the background color. And this time I'm going to use #04AA6D semicolon, and I'm going to set the color of this one to be, let's say this one to be red to make it stand out a little bit. Say semicolon, and I'm going to close the curly brackets on this one. Control S and refresh it. So you can see the active page is now listed as red. Page 2 is white, and as we change them, they change into different colors. Again, if you want to set that differently, you can change that back. And if you want to look at the hexadecimal colors, you can look them up separately. Now, this all works really well. And we've got our test page 1 here, but we still don't have a second page. So what we want to do now is we could either go back, create one, call it index 2, and set up all the same structure that we did on here, or much more easily, we can go back into our folder, right click on index, copy it, paste it, rename it as page2.html. So we've got a second page there. And if we now open that up, it should pull the same link. If we click on home, it should go to there. Page 2 isn't quite going to the right one there, so we're going to need to look at that one. We go back on to renaming that one. Page 2, okay. Because it was already HTML, it didn't need the extra bit. Open page 2, click on that. Home page takes us there, page 2 takes us there. But we can't see which one we're on because they look identical. So the next job is open page 2 with the notes. And let's make a very simple change. So here you can say I wrote title of test page 1. We're going to change that to title of test page 2. Control S, I'm going to save that. Now if I refresh this, you can see I'm on page 2. Go to home, I go to page 1. Go back to page 2, and you can see I'm moving between the 2 pages. And obviously I can make this a little bit more interesting now. I can start to modify them so that this is maybe the overview page about what we're making, what we're researching, and page 2 tells us about some additional information, or one could be on one topic and the second page could be on an additional topic. But because we've now got this structure, we can apply it. And if we want to make a page 3 and 4, that's all equally the same. The only thing we'd need to do is on each page we'd created, we need to go into here and we need to add an href page3.html so that there was a link on there for the pages. I hope this makes sense.